Did Prof X betray the church in him taking money from the charlatans? This comes after a couple of audios surfaced of him talking to certain different people, Doris Okala, something like that. Hey, there's a lot of audios out there. Even I had to kind of like just give it up. And so I'm not doing an in-depth study, research, on that entire story. I think there are people that have understood the subject more, that have dealt with that subject. Being Real George did breakdowns around it, and Solomon did kind of cover the stories as well. And so my question here is particularly about what your perspective is of what Prof X does. I'm going to tell you my perspective on it, but you can tell me yours as well. We have a community here, so we can have a conversation about it, even though we might approach things a bit differently. Show we did Christian commentary videos. There was a video that Prof X recently uploaded where he shows 30 bands, 30 big ones, 30 decades. He shows $30,000. Dawati, da. You must say da. Don't say do. Mauti do. You understand it? Diminishing to the amount of money that's being received here. $30. Okay, it's dollars. You need to please somebody type it in the comments so that others can learn how to pronounce this amount of money. Now, what is it? 13? Yes, 13,000, not 30, 13. Okay. Now, whatever the amount was. So a lot of people have been, you might have this question. Did Prof X betray the church for taking this money? Is it betrayal? Is this how Prof X functions? How does he function? What does he do? The whole nine yards. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of contrast between 4 different channels. And I'm going to do so in this tone. If you think of what I do Christian apologetics. My content is strictly Christian Bible based. So it's kind of like exegetical approach to tackling subjects of doctrine. A person did this, quoted the Bible like this, and therefore I go back and take the verse that says this, and then it forms my analysis around that subject. So my thinking around it is what the Bible says. Okay, strictly what the Bible says, and my comments around it, therefore, how the rest of the Bible actually complements that thought. That's what I do. I'm a Christian apologist. You cannot expect more than that. It's that, nothing else. Even if the subject was on me, my approach would be the same. He said, Ricky did this. Yes, the approach is the same. Okay? Now, think about it also about a different channel. End Time Truth. Think of End Time Truth and think of how he does his commentaries. End Time Truth doesn't approach this subject of tackling subject of what's happening within church the way I do. Okay, I put a little bit of character play. Sometimes I'm comedic. Sometimes I laugh a lot. And so by laughing a lot, by showing a bit of lightheartedness towards a subject, it allows the person to appreciate the more harsh reality of what's being said. And so he doesn't do that. He doesn't do character in order to push and narrate the subject further. I do that. So you can see a bit of a difference there. But he will also quote a verse very heavily, and he can do a bit of contrasting into different theological beliefs, but he does that strictly sit down, narrate the story. Okay? And I'm a little bit more cinematic, but I think as he better and understands how to use equipment, he will also become as cinematic as you can see here. I saw your video recently. He was thanking his audience. Leadership, wonderful video, so that absolutely. So I do definitely understand that with time, he will be able to expand his production value. Okay, now he does a lot more really hectic green screen and stuff like that. Wonderful one, leadership. So that's how he does his videos. Think of Niger's Craziest. They bring comedy into the subject, but not only comedy, they also act out like the pastor. Or they will kind of bring in a bit of character play, but comedically so. Okay? But it still nails the subject around there. Okay? So those are two different channels you can see over there, and you can see how they approach, how I approach, and how End Time Truth approach. But think of how Solomon Ashoms actually approach the subject. If you were to look at Solomon Ashoms, he approaches the subject from a journalist perspective, but also brings in apologetics. So, this is the Bible verse that is against this. This is why Christians don't do this. But from a journalist perspective, this is who this person is. This is where they come from, whatnot. You see that? He goes back into the journalist part of him, which is what he studied back in school. So you can see different approaches to the same thing. But you will see that all four of us, we have the same format. The Bible forms the basis of how we address this subject. So you could kind of see End Time Truth in me. You could see me in Solomon. You understand the whole non-Hajjaz. But look at what Prof X does. Prof X doesn't do that. Prof X is not an apologist. Prof X just exposes the subject. He says, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. He's not coming to pull out verses. He has a different approach altogether. That's why sometimes Prof X audience might be even people that are not Christian over the more, because it kind of justifies for them why they don't want to go to church. Because he's not approaching the subject from a Christian thing. He's just exposing what is morally wrong or morally bankrupt. You could kind of put it like that. So, did he betray the Christian church from approaching the subject like that? No, that's how he has framed his channel, right? But now, I want to add to that subject by bringing your memory back to something that Prof X once did on his channel, by the way. It's not like I'm bringing out, exposure. No. Prof X once went and he got paid by the Makandiwa team. And when he got paid by the Makandiwa team, he came out, I think it was about 150,000, and he posted it. He posted the video after fetching the money. Remember that? So he's shown this side where they pay him, he goes, he takes the money, he comes and he tells you about it. He says, you know what, this is your money, but the money has been given over to me. You think it's doing God's work? No, it's not God's work. It's been handed over to me. And so, being an exposure channel, how do you see? What are the limits? Yes, you can question the moral perspective, but it also depends on what you personally prefer. There are people that are on this channel that might not watch Prof X. There are people that are on this channel that might not watch Niger's Craziest, but they watch one of these four people right here. It just goes with preference. The same way on this channel, I have a very high energy for production value. I will sit and wait it. Like right now, we are under some outage power issue here. That's why you've not been getting videos that well. You can hear the generators are just blasting at the background. But I will put in all the effort to make sure the video looks proper, quality up there, and all that kind of jazz. That's my thing. I feel, I've even added, this is a real thing, by the way. I know some people might be wondering, Ricky, is that green screen? No, it's not a green screen. This is a camera stand. There's a camera up there with this tripod and the whole nine jazz. That's camera rig. And then there's a camera cage to protect it if it falls down. Another kind of stuff. So this is equipment that I've had for years, since 2015, I think. But it's equipment that I haven't used that much. But hey, we might as well chuck it over there in the background. It might as well make this scene look nice. Inspired by DJ Vlad, who does interviews over in the US. Put some instruments in the background. I can put a camera. I'm a vlogger. Also, I add a little bit of accent light, but this is not just an accent light, it's a hair light. It separates me from background. You can see what it does over there, but I've also added it into the shot just a little bit. It adds that cinematic thing. It's how I make content. But the center focus of what this whole thing of what I do here is that I have a baseline thought from the Bible, and then I take it from there. If you look at Being Real George, last vlogger to give an example of, Being Real George is an example, a pure example of what I'm talking about. Being Real George doesn't do who is real, who is fake. He just looks at what's there. He says, this is what's there, this is what's there, this is what's there. What do you think? He puts out the facts. He puts out what's out there. And if people are kind of construed on a certain subject, he'll then say, I don't see what you're saying because of this. But he's not going to tell you someone is fake. Here will tell you. But you can see, everybody has their own tone of doing content. But the question still remains, did Prof X, having taken money from Makandiwa before, when he was paid, and he made a video about it, is it betrayal now when it comes to to Jeremiah, when he goes and he gets $13,000? What kind of content do you expect from Prof X? And does that classify as betrayal? Very interested in hearing what your thoughts are on that one. It's Ricky Zarchiari, the Daily Christian Commentary videos. If it's the first time over here, check out the other videos that are down in the pinned comments, and I will see you on a later on video. I'm very interested in hearing what your thoughts are on that one.